Chapter 245. 3,000 Crystals. Suddenly, a clear voice rang out and spread throughout the hall. Pearl was stunned because the voice belonged to Lu Ming. Lu Ming wants this bottle of pills? Since Lu Ming had made a bid, all the more Mingzhu would not do so. 3,100. In the hall, someone continued to bid. 4,000 crystals. Lu Ming smiled faintly and increased the price to 4,000 spirit crystals. The hall fell silent. Lu Ming bid without hesitation and increased the bid by 900 crystals. Obviously, he was determined to win. Pearl, Myongchang and Ming Peek were also surprised. Although this bottle of elixir was not bad, it was only effective for low-level martial masters. Given Lu Ming's cultivation, it was unlikely to be of much use. He did not know why Lu Ming was so interested in it. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? Duji asked. No one bid. Then Duji asked 3 times but no one bid. This bottle of pills naturally belonged to Lu Ming. After a while, a beautiful girl brought the pills in. Lu Ming took out 4,000 crystals and gave it to the girl. Pearl, this bottle of pills is for you. Lu Ming took the pills and handed them to Pearl. For me. Pearl was stunned. Myongchang and Ming Peek were also stunned. The pills that Lu Ming bid just now were for Pearl? I saw that you wanted it, so I bid for it and gave it to you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. No, I can't accept such a precious pill. Although Pearl wanted it very much, he still hurriedly refused. You're welcome. It's just a bottle of pills. Lu Ming smiled. Sister, just accept it. Don't waste Brother Tianyun's good intentions. Ming Feng said with a grin. He blinked his eyes at Mingzhu with all his might. His eyes were filled with an inexplicable smile. Yes, second sister, just accept it. Myongchang smiled like a sly old fox. Pearl's face suddenly turned red. No one knew what she was thinking. Her big eyes were watery and her voice was as soft as a mosquito. Thank you, young Master Tianyun. Then she took the bottle in Lu Ming's hand and her eyes were full of joy. On the side, Myongchang and Ming Peek grinned. They looked at Lu Ming and Pearl and nodded from time to time. What are you laughing at? Lu Ming looked at the two of them speechlessly. He didn't think too much about it. He just bought it because Pearl wanted it. He didn't ask for a lot of spirit crystals. He just wanted to thank Pearl for helping him when he entered the Star General Hall. The auction continued. One item after another was auctioned off. Some were extremely rare, and the price went up to tens of thousands of spirit crystals. Some were only a few hundred spirit crystals. However, Lu Ming was a little disappointed. These items were of no use to him and he wasn't interested in them. Myongchang and Ming Peek took a fancy to a few items and participated in the auction. Soon more than 100 items fell into the hands of different people. The next item is the last item of this auction. Of course, it's also the most precious item. At this moment, Duji said in a clear voice, the finale item is about to be auctioned. The atmosphere in the auction house suddenly surged. In every auction there would be a finale item. It was definitely a rare and precious item. Lu Ming was also a little interested. Duji smiled in satisfaction when he saw the atmosphere in the auction house rising. He clapped his hands and a young girl walked up with a jade plate. The jade plate was covered with golden silk gauze. It was impossible to see what was inside. If you want to know about this treasure today, you have to know its function. As everyone knows, although the physical body is not the foundation of martial arts practice, it is still an extremely important auxiliary path. Those with a strong physical body not only have strong vitality and amazing recovery ability, but also can greatly enhance the martial arts practitioner's combat strength. There are even many other wonderful uses. Duji explained the uses of the physical body. Could it be a treasure that can help in the cultivation of the physical body? Lu Ming's interest was immediately aroused. Many people in the auction house were also looking forward to it. Duji smiled and continued, however, the cultivation of the physical body is extremely difficult. It's very slow and exhausting to rely on cultivation techniques to cultivate slowly. However, there are also shortcuts. There are many treasures in the world that can quickly temper the physical body and increase the strength of the physical body in a short period of time. These treasures have different effects. Duji didn't seem to be in a hurry and explained slowly. However, the others were holding back and immediately shouted, "What kind of treasure is it?" Tell us. Yes, what is it? Let's open it and see. Duji smiled and continued, if you want to know, it's very simple. I'll ask you a question and you'll know. Among the treasures in the world, what is the treasure that has the greatest effect on the physical body? What treasure has the greatest effect on the physical body? Of course, it's the connate original liquid. Why? You don't have the connate original liquid here, do you? A voice rang out, sounding somewhat incredulous. The auction house suddenly fell silent. Some were shocked, but then they secretly shook their heads. Connate original liquid? How was that possible? It was said that the connate original liquid was a treasure that gathered the essence of the world, and was born after millions or even tens of millions of years. Many of the connate original liquid were even born at the beginning of the world. It was very helpful to the physical body and was known as the best in the world. Of course, the connate original liquid was also divided into different grades. According to the different effects, it was divided into 4 grades: low grade, medium grade, high grade, and supreme grade. However, even if it was a low-grade Xiantian origin liquid, it was still a rare and precious treasure. The fire spirit milk that Lu Ming obtained back then could also be used to refine the physical body, but it was trash compared to the connate original liquid. Ha ha ha, this friend is right. This treasure is the connate original liquid. Duji laughed out loud. What? This time the auction house was in an uproar. It was actually the connate original liquid, which exceeded everyone's expectations. How is that possible? It's actually the connate original liquid. Get it, I must get it. Countless people shouted with blazing flames in their eyes. They looked at the tray in the hands of the girl on the high platform and wanted to take it for themselves. In the 7th VIP room, Lu Ming's eyes were also burning. Myeongchang and his siblings were so shocked that their mouths were wide open. Duji was very satisfied with the crowd's reaction. The more enthusiastic the crowd was, the higher the price would be later. Duji stretched out his hand and said, "Quiet down first." The auction house suddenly fell silent. Although this treasure is the connate original liquid, it's only the low grade and there's not a lot of it. Duji said. Everyone nodded. It was normal that it was the low grade. How could a medium grade connate original liquid appear in the Burning Sun Empire? Even if it appeared, not many people could afford it. At this moment, Duji stretched out his hand and removed the gauze on the tray, revealing a red stone ball. This is the connate original liquid? Chapter 246. Duji smiled and explained, the Xiantian original liquid is sealed in this stone orb. There aren't many of them, only 9 drops. 9 drops? That's enough. Someone whispered. On the other hand, there were people who looked excited. The Xiantian original liquid was too precious. If there were too many of them, not many people could afford it. But if there were only 9 drops, they could give it a try. Moreover, even if there were only 9 drops, the effect would be amazing. I'm going to get these 9 drops of Xiantian original liquid. Lu Ming looked at the stone orb with determination. His physical body had been stuck at the perfect grade 2 for a long time. As long as he could get these 9 drops of Xiantian original liquid, his physical body would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. It would be easy for him to break through to the 3rd grade. If that was the case, his battle prowess would have a huge increase. 9 drops of Xiantian original liquid. The elders of the Ditian fighting ground have studied it, and there's no mistake. Alright, let's start the auction. The starting price for each drop of Xiantian original liquid is 10,000 spiritual crystals. The starting price for 9 drops is 90,000 spiritual crystals. Every bit must be at least 5,000 spiritual crystals. Duji announced. CSI many people gasped and looked dejected. Although they had expected it, they were still shocked when they heard the starting price. 90,000 spiritual crystals was enough to extinguish the fire in their hearts. 100,000 spiritual crystals. Although the price was high, it wasn't something that everyone couldn't afford. Someone immediately made a bid, and it came from a VIP room. From the voice of the 3rd VIP room, he seemed to be very young. 110,000. Immediately after, a rather old voice came from VIP room number 9. 120,000. A voice suddenly sounded in the hall. Everyone looked over and saw a tall and muscular man. 150,000. In VIP room number 3, the young voice sounded. but it was a little cold. 160,000. Immediately after, the ninth VIP room made a bid. In the hall, the muscular man's eyes flickered as he stared at the stone orb on the stage. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. But in the end, he let out a long sigh and gave up. 160,000 spiritual crystals had already exceeded all of his assets. He could only give up 170,000. The third VIP room continued to raise the price. 180,000. VIP room 9 did not give in at all. At this moment, Lu Ming did not bid. There was no need to bid now. It would be the same if he bid later. VIP room 3 and VIP room 9 were competing with each other. Soon, the price of the Xiantian origin liquid had reached a high of 250,000. At that moment, the voice in VIP room number 3 was incomparably cold. At this moment, there were 5 young men sitting in VIP room 3. However, the expressions of the 5 young men did not look good. Where did this old man come from? He actually dares to compete with senior brother He Qiuming for treasures. He's courting death. A young man with a slightly pale face said with a murderous look. That's right. Looks like he doesn't know that we're disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect. Another person said coldly. Among the 5 people, the one sitting in the middle was a handsome young man in a blue robe. At this moment his face was very cold. He frowned and looked at VIP room 9. Senior, I'm Qiuming, a disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect. These 9 drops of Xiantian origin liquid are very useful to me. I hope you can give them to me. His words were very polite, but his voice was cold and filled with murderous intent. An extremely powerful aura spread out from VIP room 3. This was clearly a threat. A disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect. Everyone in the hall was shocked. Their eyes were filled with fear. You're from the Cho family of the 10 Directions Sword sect? The old voice came from VIP room 9. There was an old man sitting inside. At this moment he was filled with fear. That's right. Qiuming replied coldly. Fine, I'll give these 9 drops of Xiantian origin liquid to you young people. The old man in VIP room 9 pondered for a while and finally sighed. The 10 Directions Sword sect was definitely a giant in the Blazing Sun Empire. Not many people dared to offend them. The old man's withdrawal made Qiuming smile. 250,000, 250,000, any higher bids? Duji asked as he looked around. This is Xiantian origin liquid. It's extremely rare in the world. In the Blazing Sun Empire, it's extremely useful to the physical body. If you miss this chance, you don't know when you'll get another chance. If you want it, hurry up and bid. 250,000. Are there any higher bids? Duji tried his best to tempt the crowd. He was very unhappy with Qiuming's performance just now, so he naturally shouted to his heart's content. This old man. Qiuming gritted his teeth and glared at Duji. If looks could kill, Duji would have been pierced through. 300,000. Right at this moment, a clear and bright voice suddenly rang out and spread throughout the entire place, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. Someone had bid. After knowing that it was a disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect, he still dared to bid. Who was this person? Everyone's gaze immediately turned towards VIP room 7. That's right. The person who had bid was Lu Ming. Moreover, he increased the price by 50,000, pushing the price to 300,000. 300,000. Alright, this friend bids 300,000. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? Duji was overjoyed and announced. Bam! In VIP room 3, Qiuming slammed his palm on the table and broke it into pieces. His face was extremely gloomy. Where did this brat come from? How dare he bid when he knows that we're disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect? Is he courting death? The pale young man roared and his voice echoed throughout the hall. I bid 300,000 spiritual crystals. Are you going to bid or not? Lu Ming curled his lips and said calmly, You're courting death. Qiuming finally couldn't take it anymore and shouted coldly, Brat, I'll give you 5 breaths to withdraw your bid. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. If you have the money, pay up. If you don't, why are you still here? Scram. This was Lu Ming's reply. It was overbearing and domineering. The entire auction hall was shocked. This mysterious person was so overbearing that he even asked the 10 Direction Sword sect to scram? Yu Qiuming's face turned pale. A powerful aura spread out and shrouded VIP Room 7. Brat, I'll kill you now. Qiuming roared. You can try me. Lu Ming replied in a domineering manner. Although Du Ji's cultivation was at the 8th grade martial master realm, why would Lu Ming be afraid of him? Die! Qiuming roared as he walked out of the VIP room and was about to head to VIP Room 3. How dare you! Suddenly, Du Ji furiously roared, and an extremely terrifying aura exploded out, crushing down on Qiuming's body like a mountain. Qiuming's body trembled, and he was unable to move. Martial Ancestor Realm. This is the aura of a martial ancestor realm. The entire hall was shocked. They didn't expect Du Ji, who looked so friendly, to be a martial ancestor realm expert. Old man, what are you doing? Are you courting death? I'm a disciple of the 10 Direction Sword sect. Qiuming roared. What bullshit 10 Direction Sword sect? How dare you cause trouble at the Ditian auction hall? Die. Chapter 247. Qiuming shuddered violently. He was used to acting like a tyrant and he had just casually shouted. At this moment he finally recalled that this was the Ditian auction house, and Du Ji was a member of the Ditian Divine Palace. Even if he killed Du Ji, the Decimo Sword sect would definitely not dare to say a word. Thinking of this, Qiuming's body stiffened as he broke out in cold sweat. Senior, I was wrong. I was too anxious just now. I hope Senior won't take offense. Qiuming hurriedly shouted with a pleading face. Go back to your room. Du Ji yelled. Qiuming was relieved as he hurried back to VIP Room 3. Damn it. Damn it. After Qiuming returned to the VIP room, he let out a deep roar. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He had embarrassed himself just now and would definitely become a laughing stock. It was all thanks to Lu Ming. Investigate. I must find out who that kid is. I will burn his bones and scatter his ashes. Qiuming roared. Senior brother Qiuming, I know who he is. Suddenly, a young man who had been silent spoke. You know. Qiuming looked at the young man. He is Tianyun from the Star General Hall. I will never forget his voice. The young man gritted his teeth and said. This young man was one of the 6 geniuses from the Decimo Sword sect, who had comprehended force in the Blood Ant's secret realm. Tianyun? It's him? Good, very good. I am here to kill him. Now he dares to snatch the Xiantian original liquid from me. He brought this upon himself. Qiuming said in a cold voice. Senior brother Qiuming, in 2 days, Tianyun will challenge someone 2 levels above him at the Ditian fighting ground. When that time comes, we will kill him and challenge the record of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun Empire. Dream on. The pale young man sneered. All right, we will let him live for 2 more days. We will let him have the 9 drops of Xiantian original liquid. When we kill him, the Xiantian original liquid will be mine. Qiuming said coldly. 300,000 spiritual crystals. Is there anything higher than 300,000 spiritual crystals? In the hall, Du Ji continued to host the auction. Everyone was silent. This time, the auction was not targeted at martial ancestor realm experts. Most of them were great martial masters. 300,000 spiritual crystals was not a small amount even for a martial ancestor, let alone a martial grandmaster. Therefore, no one continued to bid. Du Ji asked 3 times but no one bid. The 9 drops of Xiantian origin liquid were successfully obtained by Lu Ming. Lu Ming paid the spirit crystal and directly kept the stone into the Supreme Divine Palace. The auction finally came to an end. Lu Ming, Miangcheng and the others returned to the Star General Hall. Then Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and took out the stone. The stone was about the size of a fist. As he held it in his hand, it emitted a shocking amount of essence energy. There were 9 drops of Xiantian original liquid sealed inside. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He held the stone in his hand and squeezed it with all his might. Kacha! The stone cracked open and an even denser essence qi permeated the air. Next, a drop of Xiantian origin liquid seeped out from the crack. The Xiantian origin liquid was as black as ink. It emitted a little bit of light. It was very magical. Lu Ming opened his mouth and sucked the drop of Xiantian origin liquid into his mouth. He put the rest of the Xiantian origin liquid into a jade box and circulated the raging flame Vajra skill to refine it. The Xiantian origin liquid turned into an endless amount of essence qi and seeped into his muscles and bones. Under the raging flame Vajra skill, Lu Ming's body continuously strengthened. Lu Ming's body's strength increased crazily. His body, which was stuck at the complete second rank, also started to break through. 2 hours later, Lu Ming's body trembled. His bones made crackling sounds like beans being fried. His muscles wriggled continuously. After a long while, it finally calmed down. Third rank physical body. I have finally reached the initial rank 3 physical body. Lu Ming muttered. His face was full of joy. The Xiantian origin liquid was indeed the best body refining treasure in the world. Just a drop of lower-grade Xiantian origin liquid allowed Lu Ming's body to break through and reach the initial rank 3 physical body. Having reached the third rank physical body, Lu Ming's explosive power had increased. His combat strength had also increased substantially. Continue, Lu Ming muttered. Then he swallowed the second drop of Xiantian origin liquid and began to refine it. It was more difficult to improve the third rank physical body than the second rank physical body. However, with the help of the Xiantian origin liquid, Lu Ming's body was still improving rapidly. More than a day later, Lu Ming had cultivated the raging flame Vajra skill to the complete realm. In other words, Lu Ming's body had reached the complete rank 3 physical body. The 8 drops of Xiantian origin liquid had also been completely refined. If I want to continue to improve the grade of my body, I have to find a more advanced body refining technique. Lu Ming pondered. The raging flame Vajra skill could only cultivate the body to the complete rank 3 physical body. This was already the limit. What a strong physical strength. My combat strength has increased by at least 30% compared to before. Lu Ming's eyes were extremely bright. At this moment, his expression changed as he heard a soft knock on the door. With a thought, he walked out of the Temple of Paragon and opened the door. It was Myeongcheng and his siblings. Brother Tianyun, today is your challenge, Ming Peak said hurriedly. Lu Ming slapped his head. He had been so engrossed in refining the Xiantian origin liquid that he had almost forgotten about the time. Let's go. The 4 of them immediately rushed to the Ditian fighting ground. At this moment, the Ditian fighting ground was already filled with people. All the seats were occupied. It could be described as a sea of people. There were no less than 300,000 people. Every person had to pay 10 spiritual crystals as an entrance fee. The Ditian fighting ground's income today was no less than 3 million spiritual crystals. It was terrifying. However, at this moment the Ditian fighting ground was in an uproar. Why isn't Tianyun here yet? What's going on? Could it be that he's not coming? No, I've come here for nothing. I'll refund the spiritual crystals. I'm not going to watch this. I gave up on a mission to come here. Is he going to scam me? In the crowd, Qiu Ming and the others stood there with ugly expressions on their faces. Could it be that Tianyun knows that he offended senior brother Qiu Ming in the previous auction and doesn't dare to come? I think that's the case. A few disciples from the 10 Direction Sword sect discussed loudly. This time the 10 Direction Sword sect had sent over a dozen disciples. The higher-ups of the Ditian fighting ground. A few elders from the Ditian fighting ground frowned as they looked down. What's wrong with Tianyun? Why isn't he here yet? I've already sent someone to fetch him. A few elders discussed softly. Suddenly, an old man's expression changed. He smiled and said, Tianyun, you're here. At this moment, Tianyun walked through the entrance of the Ditian fighting ground and walked towards the fighting stage. Tianyun is here. It was unknown who shouted, but the entire place quietened down. A few 100,000 pairs of eyes looked towards the entrance. Lu Ming walked in front with big steps. Myeongcheng and his siblings followed behind him. Tianyun is here. It seems like he's delayed by something. With his talent, how can he not come? Who said that Tianyun is afraid and doesn't dare to come? You're really measuring the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure. Everyone was excited, but a few disciples from the 10 Direction Sword sect had ugly expressions. Chapter 248. Humph, it's good that you're here. You're still going to die. Qiu Ming said with a gloomy face. Myeongchang and his siblings went to the stands while Lu Ming went to the center of the fighting ring. All eyes were on Lu Ming, who was in the fighting ring. Alright. Now Tianyun's 2-level challenge officially begins. Who wants to come up and fight? The judge announced loudly. I'll have a try. An old man said loudly as he went to the fighting ring. It's the first freak of Ming Mountain. He's an 8th-level martial master. And he's won 7 battles in a row against people of the same level. He's considered an expert among 8th-level martial masters. He's qualified to be Tianyun's first candidate. Someone recognized the old man as soon as he went to the fighting ring. You can fight him. The judge nodded, acknowledging Weirdo of Ming Mountain's strength. Child Tianyun, please. Weirdo of Ming Mountain stared at Lu Ming, emitting a powerful aura. Lu Ming smiled and a long spear appeared in his hand. Bang! Strange Mingshan took a step forward and dashed toward Lu Ming at a high speed. Wind Demon Staff Technique. Mingshani yelled. The dragon head walking stick in his hand swung toward Lu Ming like a whirlwind. One stick after another, it was continuous. Weirdo of Ming Mountain showed his strength as soon as he made a move. He was one of the top fighters among the LV8 martial masters. Lu Ming thrust out his long spear and fought with Weirdo of Ming Mountain. He didn't use force. Weirdo of Ming Mountain was strong, but he didn't need to use force. After a dozen moves, Weirdo of Ming Mountain was swept away by Lu Ming's spear. Weirdo of Ming Mountain was defeated, which was expected by everyone. However, the experts who came later would be stronger and stronger. The real challenge had just begun. Who wants to fight me? Lu Ming looked around. Tianyun, I'll kill you. With a loud shout, a disciple of the Shifeng Sword School jumped onto the fighting ring. Disciples of sects like the Decimo Sword faction who could reach such a cultivation base at such a young age were all geniuses. There was almost no need for them to test their strength. Tianyun, if you know what's good for you, hurry up and return the Xiantian origin liquid to senior brother Qiuming. Then kneel down and admit your mistake in front of everyone. If you do that, I can consider only crippling your cultivation and sparing your dog life. The disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect shouted coldly. He was extremely arrogant and shameless. Idiot! Lu Ming responded indifferently. What did you say? You're courting death. Even if I kill you, your items will still be mine. The 10 Directions Sword faction disciple roared, his aura erupting as he charged towards Lu Ming. It had to be said that this disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect was very strong. He was much stronger than the eccentric of Mount Ming. No wonder he was so arrogant. Unfortunately, his opponent was Lu Ming. Whoosh! The power of the wind was infused into the long spear, causing the long spear's speed to reach the extreme. Everyone only saw a spear shadow flash, and in an instant, it appeared in front of the 10 Directions Sword faction disciple. Poochie! The long spear pierced through the heart of the 10 Directions Sword faction disciple. The 10 Directions Sword faction disciple screamed and fell to the ground, no longer breathing. Insta-kill in one move. What a powerful strength! Everyone was shocked. The 10 Directions Sword faction disciple was extremely arrogant a moment ago, but he was instantly killed. Tianyun is too strong to be able to kill someone 2 levels higher than him in one move. This disciple of the 10 Directions Sword faction is not weak. He's a top expert even among the 8th level martial grandmasters. Tianyun's combat strength is definitely equivalent to a 9th level martial grandmaster. That's terrifying. Can he really break the record of the 6 Burning Sun heroes? Many people were discussing in shock. At that moment, Lu Ming had already won 2 matches in a row, while the other 5 of the 6 Burning Sun heroes had only won 4 matches in a row. Everyone was looking forward to it. You're courting death. A furious roar came from the 10 Directions Sword faction disciple. A figure jumped high and landed on the fighting ring, causing it to shake violently. It was Qiuming. Tianyun, your winning streak ends here. It's impossible for you to break the record of the 6 Burning Sun heroes. Qiuming looked at Lu Ming coldly. Do you think you can stop me? Don't be like the previous one. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Don't compare me to him. Tianyun, you've offended the 10 Directions Sword faction. Today I'll make sure you die miserably. Qiuming said coldly. At the same time, his aura became stronger and stronger. There was also a force in his aura, the force of metal. I forgot to tell you one thing. I've already refined all 9 drops of Khanate original liquid. Lu Ming suddenly changed his tone and said with a smile, "What?" Qiu Ming's face turned pale and his force almost dissipated. The Khanate original liquid was very useful to him. He wanted to kill Lu Ming mostly because he wanted to take the Khanate original liquid. But now Lu Ming said that the Khanate original liquid had already been refined. Qiu Ming's eyes turned red and he roared furiously, "Tianyun, you deserve to die. You deserve to die." Kung. The sound of a sword rang out and a brilliant sword qi slashed towards Lu Ming. The sword qi was infused with the force of metal. It was extremely sharp and indestructible. Shua. Lu Ming shook his long spear and unleashed the power of the wind, charging toward Qiu Ming. Boom! Heaven and earth roared and the fighting stage shook continuously. Terrifying shockwaves spread out in all directions. They were evenly matched in the first exchange. Kill. Qiu Ming didn't manage to hit Suemo with his first attack. Qiu Ming's combat strength was absolutely terrifying. He wasn't as talented as Yang Ziqian, but his cultivation was much higher than Yang Ziqian's. Similarly, his combat strength was also much higher than Yang Ziqian's. It wasn't difficult for Qiu Ming to kill someone with a higher cultivation level. Boom! Boom! The two of them exchanged more than 20 moves and the space around them shook. Qiu Ming's combat strength is too strong. He shouldn't have come out in the 3rd round. He's trying to stop Tianyun's winning streak. That's right. From the looks of it, Tianyun has the strength to break the records of the other 5 heroes. Unfortunately, Qiu Ming is stopping him. As long as Tianyun defeats Qiu Ming, he will have no problem breaking the record of the 5 heroes. The crowd discussed fervently. Is this all you've got? You've disappointed me. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly said calmly, "What?" Qiu Ming was stunned. Boom! The aura on Lu Ming's body erupted like a volcano. An incomparably powerful aura burst out. It was the force of fire, wind, and fire combined to unleash a terrifying power. A long spear pierced through all obstructions and stabbed towards Qiu Ming. This spear couldn't be dodged or blocked because it was too fast and too powerful. No! Qiu Ming was scared out of his wits. He roared crazily and used all his strength to block the attack. However, it was unnecessary. The long spear pierced through his heart. The true energy on the long spear shredded his heart into pieces. Qiu Ming was dead. The crowd was stunned for a few seconds before they burst into an uproar. Chapter 249. Who else from your Decimo sword sect wants to fight? Lu Ming looked at the omnidirectional sword sect's area. However, the disciples of the Shifeng sword sect were silent. What a joke! Even Qiu Ming had been defeated. Among them, there were still a few experts of the 8th Martial Master realm, but none of them were as strong as Qiu Ming. Damn it! Wait until the geniuses on the 10 Directions Sword Faction's silver ranking arrive. Let's see how you'll die. The disciples of the Decimo Sword Faction all had gloomy expressions as they roared in their hearts. Lu Ming sneered. His gaze swept across the crowd, but still, no one stepped forward to fight. Tianyun, since that's the case, Tian Martial Arena will send someone to fight, the referee said. Lu Ming nodded. After a while, a young man with a murderous aura stepped onto the stage. However, this person was not as strong as Qiu Ming, and was defeated by Lu Ming in just a few moves. 4 consecutive victories. Following this, the Tian Martial Arena sent another person up, but he was still defeated by Lu Ming. 5 consecutive victories had broken the record of the 5 heroes of the Burning Sun tribe. However, Lu Ming's victory didn't stop there. After that, the D-Sky Martial Arena sent out more and more people to fight. These people were all experts among the death fighters, each stronger than the last. Sadly, all of them were defeated by Lu Ming. 6 consecutive victories. 7 consecutive victories. He tied with Qiu Changkong's record, but not long after Lu Ming won again. 8 consecutive victories. The crowd was in an uproar. Qiu Changkong's record was finally broken. Heavens, Tianyun is going to defy the heavens. Could it be that his talent is stronger than Qiu Changkong's? That might not be the case. Although Qiu Changkong was strong when he was a martial grandmaster, He was not much stronger than the other 5 heroes. When Qiu Chongkong broke through to the martial ancestor realm, he underwent extreme nirvana and awakened a terrifying second bloodline. That was how he managed to leave the other 5 heroes in the dust and firmly sit on the throne of the 6 heroes of the Blazing Sun Empire. That's right. Although Tianyun is strong now, it's hard to say when he reaches the martial ancestor realm. That's true, but it's still very scary. Moreover, what's Tianyun's limit? How many consecutive victories can he achieve in the end? Everyone guessed in shock that Tianyun wouldn't be able to skip 2 levels and obtain 10 consecutive victories, right? As it turned out, their speculations were coming true. For the 9th match, Ditian Martial Arena sent out a powerful expert who was even stronger than Qiu Ming. However, he was still not a match for Lu Ming. 9 consecutive victories. This caused the elders in the upper echelons of the Ditian Martial Arena to be stunned. This little fellow's strength is not bad. In the future, he might even be able to join the Ditian Divine Guards. We have to pay close attention to it. When the time comes, the credit for the recommendation won't be small. It is still too early for him to join the Ditian Divine Guards. We will have to see how his second martial ancestor bloodline awakens. What we need to do now is to stop his winning streak. Otherwise, us old fellows will suffer a loss. A few old men were discussing among themselves, looking rather distressed. Let number 10 go up. He is the only person who obtained the top 10 numbers with the cultivation of an 8th level martial master. If even he is defeated, there is nothing we can do. Let's do it. Soon the order was given, and a bare-chested young man in his 20s stepped onto the platform. There was a number 10 tattooed on his face. Number 10? Why is it number 10? Some of the people who knew the inside story of the Ditian Martial Arena cried out in surprise. The death fighters of the Ditian Martial Arena, number 1 to number 10, were usually top-notch experts among the 9th level martial masters. But now number 10 was a young man in the 8th level martial master realm. Many people understood that this number 10 must be extraordinary. It's an expert. This is more interesting. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of battle intent. This number 10 did not emit a strong aura, but Lu Ming could faintly sense danger. Kill! Number 10 suddenly let out a loud roar, and a long spear appeared in his hand. In an instant, dozens of spear lights pierced through the air towards Lu Ming. He also uses a spear. Great! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Buzz! The long spear trembled, and it let out a buzzing sound. Similarly, spear lights shot out and engaged in a great battle with number 10. On the 200-meter-long platform, 2 figures of light crisscrossed, and spear lights shot out with a whistling sound. It was incomparably terrifying. At the same time, there were 3 forces on the platform that were constantly bombarding and resisting. This little guy called Tianyun is really shocking. At such a young age, he has already comprehended 2 forces, and both of them have already reached the small success stage. Especially the fire force, it's close to the large success stage. That's right. Number 10's mountain force is also close to the large success stage, similar to Tianyun's fire force. However, Tianyun's wind and fire combination is even stronger. If not for number 10's cultivation being so much stronger than Tianyun's, I'm afraid he would have already lost. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time before he loses. In the upper echelons of the martial arena, a few elders were watching and discussing. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and number 10 had exchanged more than 100 moves. Awesome, awesome! Lu Ming's eyes were incomparably bright. The more he fought, the braver he became. On the demon-suppressing spear, the wind and fire force converged, forming a shocking destructive power. In this battle, Lu Ming used all his strength except for his earth-rank martial skill and bloodline. How powerful was Lu Ming now? The battle dragon technique was at the 4th level, and his body was at the peak of the 3rd stage. With the wind and fire force converging, an ordinary martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the martial master realm would not be able to take more than a few moves from Lu Ming. From this, one could see how powerful number 10 was. The audience of more than 300,000 held their breaths and stared at the platform, afraid that they would miss the most important scene. Boom! Boom! In the blink of an eye, another 100 moves had passed. Lu Ming became braver and braver and gradually gained the upper hand. A shocking killing intent erupted from Number 10's body. Like a wild beast, he was not afraid of death. But he was still suppressed by Lu Ming. Bang! After another 100 moves, Number 10 was sent flying by Lu Ming's spear. He slid a few hundred meters and fell off the platform. Roar! Number 10 growled and wanted to rush to the platform regardless of his injuries. Enough! The referee shouted. Number 10's body trembled and he stopped, fear in his eyes. Tianyun wins this battle. The referee announced. Phew! The audience exhaled. They were too nervous just now and many people held their breaths until their faces turned red. Only now did they let out a long sigh. Then there was a shocking uproar. More than 300,000 people were talking excitedly. 10 consecutive victories, 2 levels higher. That's terrifying. It hasn't happened in the Burning Sun Empire for at least 500 years. A miracle, a miracle. After today, Tianyun's name will be known all over the world. If Tianyun grows up, he will be as strong as the 6 heroes or even stronger. I'm witnessing the birth of a miracle. In the crowd, Ming Chang and his siblings were so agitated that they were trembling all over. On the other hand, the people from the 10 Directions sword sect were all pale and bloodless. Lu Ming, will you continue with the challenge? Then this question came to everyone's mind. Fighting 3 levels higher. Moreover, it was not as simple as 3 levels higher. His opponent would not be an ordinary LV9 martial master. He would definitely be stronger than Number 10. Would Tianyun continue? Countless people were looking forward to it. This little guy won't really continue, will he? Among the higher-ups, several elders said with a wry smile. If Lu Ming continued to fight, they would lose money. Tianyun, do you want to continue? The referee looked at Lu Ming with a trace of nervousness and speechlessness in his eyes. Chapter 250. Under everyone's gaze, Lu Ming shook his head. I'm not challenging anymore. Lu Ming said. Huh. Everyone was stunned. He's not challenging anymore? Why isn't Tianyun challenging anymore? He clearly won. If he were to challenge someone 3 levels above him, he would be able to get an additional 1 million spirit crystals. Yeah, why isn't he challenging anymore? I'm about to witness history. Countless people were disappointed. Only the judge and a few elders of the Ditian fighting arena were overjoyed. The judge suppressed his joy and said, Tianyun, since that's the case, I'll announce that you've won 10 consecutive victories. Your reward is 1 million spirit crystals. Lu Ming nodded. He didn't challenge anymore because he knew that if he were to show off too much and earn too many spirit crystals from the Ditian fighting arena, it would definitely make the Ditian fighting arena unhappy. Also, if he continued to challenge, he would have to face stronger opponents. In that case, all his trump cards would be exposed. It wasn't wise to expose all his trump cards in front of his enemies. Therefore, he chose to end the challenge. 1 million spirit crystals was enough for now. However, the audience couldn't help but wonder if Lu Ming would win if he continued to challenge, and how many consecutive victories he would get. Of course, there was no answer to this. Some people thought that Lu Ming had already used all his strength. If he continued to challenge, he would definitely lose. Therefore, he chose not to challenge anymore. Some people thought that Lu Ming still had some strength left. They didn't know why he chose not to challenge anymore. Everyone had different opinions. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with them. He followed the judge and received his reward of 1 million spirit crystals. Lu Ming left in satisfaction. Of course, Myeongchang and his siblings were also there. Big brother Tianyun, you're too powerful. If I were half no 1/10 as powerful as you, I would laugh my head off even in my dreams. Ming Peek looked at Lu Ming with admiration. Lu Ming smiled and said, let's go. What do you want to buy? It's my treat today. Really? Ming Peek was overjoyed. Without the slightest hesitation, he dragged Pearl and Myeongchang towards the market square. When they arrived at the market, Ming Chang and his siblings chose from all over the place and spent 5,000 to 6,000 spirit crystals. To Lu Ming, this was nothing. Lu Ming was now a millionaire. Then, he returned to the Star General Hall. At the entrance of Lu Ming's dormitory, he saw Hua Qi waiting there. Hua Qi, were you waiting for me? Lu Ming smiled as he walked over. Lu Ming, you have exceeded my expectations time and time again. Today you actually managed to achieve 10 consecutive victories, surpassing Qiu Changkong's record. Hua Qi smiled. Of course, Ming Peak ran to Myeongchang's place, so there was only Lu Ming here, so he didn't need to worry about what he said. You found out so quickly? Lu Ming was stunned. Almost all of the higher-ups in the imperial capital know about it now. Hua Qi smiled. Lu Ming was speechless. The speed of the news spreading was really terrifying. Lu Ming, my father wants to see you. Hua Qi suddenly said. Your father? Lu Ming frowned slightly. Hua Qi's father, the current emperor of the Blazing Sun Empire, wants to see him? Yes, Lu Ming, I didn't hide your information from my father. You won't mind, right? Hua Qi looked at Lu Ming and said. Why would I? Lu Ming smiled. In fact, Lu Ming had already expected this. Since he agreed to help Hua Qi, it was normal for him to tell his father. Seeing that Lu Ming didn't mind, Hua Qi smiled and said, Lu Ming, I have also told my father about your father. During this period of time, my father has sent a large number of people to investigate and there seems to be some progress. What? There's news about my father? Lu Ming was stunned for a moment before he was overjoyed. Lu Ming, don't be happy too early. Seems to be just some progress. Hua Qi said. Let's go and see your father. Lu Ming couldn't wait. Having some information was better than having no information at all. It was better than finding a needle in a haystack. Then Lu Ming left the Star General Hall and sat on a beast carriage with Hua Qi, heading towards the Imperial Palace. After arriving at the Imperial Palace, Lu Ming followed Hua Qi to the Imperial Garden. When Lu Ming arrived at the Imperial Garden, he saw a middle-aged man with a burly figure, wearing a golden dragon robe, sitting in a pavilion and drinking tea. He was just sitting there casually, but there was an intimidating aura around him. This was the aura of an emperor. Without a doubt, this was the current emperor of the Blazing Sun Empire, Hua Zhengxing. Son greets father. Arriving at the pavilion, Hua Qi bowed. This commoner Lu Ming greets your majesty. Lu Ming also cupped his fists in greeting. Haha, nephew Lu Ming, there's no need to be so courteous. Come, have a drink with this emperor. Hua Zhengxing was very forthright as he laughed heartily. Lu Ming and Hua Qi entered the pavilion and took a seat. Beside them, the emperor's trusted aide poured tea for Lu Ming and Hua Qi. I've long heard that nephew Lu Ming is a dragon among men, unparalleled in the world. Seeing you today, it's true. Hua Zhengxing smiled. Your majesty is too kind. Lu Ming said modestly. Hua Zhengxing took a sip of tea and said, Lu Ming, in this period of time, you've created many miracles, but at the same time, you've also offended the 10 Directions Sword sect. From now on you must be careful. However, since you've already joined the Star General Hall and are old Eight's close friend, this emperor can promise you one thing. As long as it's a competition between peers, no matter what happens, this emperor and the imperial family will definitely stand on your side. Lu Ming's heart moved. Hua Zhengxing's words implied that as long as it was a competition between peers, he could do whatever he wanted. The imperial family would definitely stand firmly behind him and protect him. Many thanks, your majesty. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Although the imperial family had declined, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. With the emperor's promise, Lu Ming did not need to be afraid when encountering disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect in the future. He could directly kill them. If the older generation of the 10 Directions Sword sect made a move, the imperial family would definitely step in. This way, Lu Ming had fewer worries. There's more. Hua Zhengxing's hand moved, and a storage ring appeared in his hand. He said, Here are the blood refinement pills. There are a total of 4,000 pills. Lu Ming's heart moved. It seemed that the blood ant egg last time had been refined into blood refinement pills. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony and accepted it. This was what he deserved. Your Majesty, I heard that you know the whereabouts of my father? At this time, Lu Ming asked. He wanted to ask as soon as he arrived, but he had been holding it in. Now he finally could not hold it in anymore. Hua Zhengxing pondered for a moment and said, During this period, I've been sending people to investigate. The investigation started 8 or 9 years ago, and finally found some clues. It's very likely that your father was imprisoned by the 10 Directions Sword sect for some reason. This is certain. Moreover, It's very likely that your father isn't dead. However, we haven't found out where exactly he is imprisoned yet. Father is really not dead. Lu Ming's heart trembled. Thereafter, he was filled with endless rage. His father was actually imprisoned by the 10 Directions Sword Sect. Damn it, the 10 Directions Sword Sect deserves to die. Chapter 251. Lu Ming, don't worry, I will do my best. It won't be long before I find your father's whereabouts, Hua Zhengxing said with a serious face. Lu Ming thanks your majesty first. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed. This time he was sincere. Although he knew that the reason why Hua Zhengxing was helping him was nothing more than because he had taken a fancy to his talent and wanted to rope him in, it didn't matter as long as it was beneficial to both sides. Hua Zhengxing smiled, looking quite satisfied. He then took out a gilded invitation card and said, Lu Ming, 3 months later. It will be my 60th birthday. This is the invitation card. You must attend it 3 months later. Lu Ming's heart moved and he didn't refuse. He took the invitation and said, Don't worry, your majesty. Lu Ming will definitely be there. Haha, Lu Ming, there aren't many people who can make my father personally send an invitation. Only the 5 major sects and the ministers in the imperial capital. Hua Qi smiled. Lu Ming, you should cultivate well during this period. When the 5 major sects gather in the imperial capital, the geniuses on the silver ranking and even the gold rank disciples will come. I'm afraid that the disciples on the silver ranking of the Shifang sword sect will find trouble with you. You must be careful. Hua Zhengxing warned seriously. Lu Ming thanked him again. After chatting for a while, Lu Ming and Hua Qi got up and left. In the general hall, Lu Ming sat on the bed. Father, how have you been all these years? Why did the Shifang sword sect imprison you? Is it because of the bronze pendant? Father, I'm useless. I can't save you now. Lu Ming clasped his hands together tightly. Strength, he was still too weak. If he was strong enough, he could kill his way to the Shifang sword sect and force them to release him. But now he was still too far away. He urgently needed to improve his strength. Martial Ancestor Realm. I must reach the Martial Ancestor Realm as soon as possible. Only Martial Ancestor Realm experts in the Burning Sun Empire can be counted as real experts. Only Martial Ancestor Realm experts have the right to speak and can fly. It will be of great help to me. After the consecutive battles in the Ditian Martial Arena, I feel that my bottleneck has loosened. Tomorrow I will go and buy a batch of demonic cores and focus on raising my cultivation. Then, Lu Ming appeared on the 3rd platform of the Temple of Paragon. He put in the spiritual crystals and started to fight with himself. The next day, Lu Ming went out early and walked towards the market square. It was still the treasure pavilion. Young master, you're here. Please come in. The eyes of the girl who received Lu Ming last time lit up when she saw Lu Ming. She brought Lu Ming to a VIP room. Haha, young master, long time no see. Soon the shopkeeper walked in. Sir, what would you like to buy this time? Shopkeeper, give me 100 Class 9 Class 3 monster cores. Lu Ming said. 100? The shopkeeper was shocked. That's right. Is there a problem? Lu Ming frowned slightly. Did the treasure pavilion not have enough stock? No problem. The shopkeeper quickly shook his head. He was just shocked and did not understand why Lu Ming wanted to buy so many monster cores. Also, give me 20 portions of Class 9 Class 3 Monster Blood Essence. Lu Ming continued. Okay. Please wait for a moment, young master. It will be here soon. The shopkeeper nodded his head repeatedly. His face was full of smiles as he walked out. Soon, the shopkeeper came back with 100 monster cores and 20 portions of Monster Blood Essence. Young master, the original price of these monster cores and blood essence is 1 million spiritual crystals, but you have a VIP card so you can get a 20% discount. So, it will be 800,000 spiritual crystals. The shopkeeper said with a smile. Lu Ming nodded. It was good to have a VIP card. This way, he could save 200,000 spiritual crystals. Lu Ming paid the spiritual crystals and kept the monster cores and blood essence. He left the treasure pavilion under the admiring gazes of the shopkeeper and the admiring gazes of the beautiful shop assistants. After returning to the Star General Hall, Lu Ming went straight to the Earth Essence Cave. It was best to cultivate in the Earth Essence Cave. Lu Ming went to the 6th level of the Earth Essence Cave and sat down cross-legged in a secret room. With a flash of blood, the spirit-devouring bloodline appeared. A giant python more than 10 meters long with distinct scales floated above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming took out a monster core. The giant python opened its mouth and sucked the monster core into its mouth. At the same time, there was a huge amount of fire attribute spiritual chi. Now that the spirit-devouring bloodline had reached level 7, its speed of devouring spiritual chi was terrifying. It was even faster than a level 9 bloodline. The huge amount of fire attribute spiritual chi and the energy of the monster core could not be refined by the bloodline and poured into Lu Ming's body. The bottleneck of peak level 6 martial master finally began to loosen, and there were signs of a breakthrough. I'll add 2 more. With a move of his hand, he took out 2 more monster cores and let the giant python swallow them. Boom! Surging energy poured into Lu Ming's body and finally turned into a loud explosion. 7th level martial master breakthrough. After breaking through to level 7 martial master, Lu Ming's bloodline became even more terrifying. It continued to absorb the spiritual chi of the outside world. The spiritual chi of the outside world formed a funnel and was constantly devoured by the spirit-devouring bloodline. At the same time, Lu Ming took out another monster core and continued to devour it. The true chi in Lu Ming's body surged crazily. A few hours later, the phenomenon disappeared. 7th level martial master. My true chi is twice as dense as a 6th level martial master. However, it's still not enough. I have to continue to break through. After that, Lu Ming continued to devour the monster cores and cultivate. Every day, he spent half of his time cultivating the true battle dragon art and devouring monster cores to increase his cultivation. The rest of the time was used to comprehend the power of fire and figure out martial skills. Time flew by and a month passed in the blink of an eye. 100 monster cores had been completely devoured by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation had risen to the peak of level 7 martial master. Yes, 100 level 3 monster elixirs could only raise Lu Ming's cultivation to the peak of 7th level martial master. After reaching level 7 martial master, the effect of the class 9 monster cores would be much weaker. He had also devoured all 20 class 9 monster blood essences and used them to increase his bloodline rank. However, his bloodline was still at level 7 and did not break through. Lu Ming estimated that unless it was a martial ancestor realm blood essence, it would take a long time for his bloodline rank to increase. Martial ancestor blood essence. At the thought of this, Lu Ming could not help but smile bitterly. Martial ancestor blood essence was level 4 monster blood essence. Lu Ming had a headache just thinking about the price. The fire element spiritual chi in the 6th floor of the earth element cavern is still too weak. Let's go to the 7th floor. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It was said that only martial ancestor realm experts could go to the 7th floor of the earth origin cave. Because the fire attribute spiritual chi was too dense and violent, it was very dangerous for martial grandmasters to go down. However, Lu Ming had the spirit-devouring bloodline and was not afraid. He planned to use the dense spiritual chi of heaven and earth to help him break through and comprehend the power of fire. He felt that the power of fire was very close to reaching the greater success stage. He walked out of the secret room and headed to the 7th floor. As soon as he reached the 7th floor, Lu Ming felt as if he had arrived at the mouth of a volcano. The terrifying and violent fire attribute spiritual chi constantly attacked Lu Ming. Good. This kind of environment is what I need. Chapter 252. A few hours later, Lu Ming stopped cultivating and began to comprehend the force of fire. Time flew by and another month and a half passed. On this day, the stone door of the secret chamber opened, and Lu Ming walked out. Lu Ming had a smile on his face. It was obvious that he had gained a lot during this time. There was only half a month left until the emperor's birthday. Lu Ming planned to ask about his father's situation. He walked out of the Hall of General and walked toward the palace. Suddenly, the people on the street looked up at the sky in disgust. Who is that? How dare you fly so brazenly in the sky above the imperial city? Someone shouted. Ordinary martial ancestor realm experts were forbidden from flying above the imperial city. Only the overlords were not restricted by this rule. But now someone dared to do so? Lu Ming also looked up. In the sky there was a young figure in his 20s. He wore a red robe and had a tall stature. He was currently walking through the air towards the depths of the imperial capital. It's Ling Yanqi, one of the 6 heroes. Someone exclaimed. What? It's Ling Yanqi? Many people were shocked. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. It was Ling Yanqi, one of the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun Empire, and the strongest of the younger generation in the Crimson Cloud Valley. This was the first time Lu Ming saw the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun Empire. Brother Ling, wait. Right at this moment, a soft shout came from behind. Then, a young man in a white robe with a handsome face stepped through the air and arrived. It's Feng Wuji, the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's Feng Wuji. Another 6 heroes. Someone shouted. He's Feng Wuji. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. In the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, Lu Ming had heard Feng Wuji's name countless times. Feng Wuji was the pride of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's younger generation. Without a doubt, he was the strongest in the sect. Although Duanmu Lin was known as a peerless talent, he was still too young to compete with Feng Wuji. Lu Ming had been in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect for more than a year, but this was the first time he had seen him in person. Brother Feng, you came so quickly. Let's go together. Ling Yanqi smiled, and when Feng Wuji arrived, the two of them walked side by side and disappeared into the sky. Oh my god, 2 of the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun tribe are here today. This is so rare. That's right. Normally, it's already extremely difficult to meet one. Now, 2 of them have appeared all of a sudden. His Majesty's 60th birthday is coming soon. No matter what, the 5 great sects have to put on a show. They will definitely gather in the imperial capital. It's inevitable that the geniuses of the 5 great sects will gather here. When the time comes, will the 6 heroes gather and fight? I'm really looking forward to it. That's hard to say. Among the 6 heroes, Qiu Chongkong is invincible, but the other 5 have never fought before. I don't know who is stronger and who is weaker. It would be great if we could have a peak duel this time. On the streets, countless people were discussing. As for the fact that they couldn't fly in the Imperial City, they simply ignored it. If the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun tribe couldn't fly in the Imperial capital, who else could? They were the future overlords of the Burning Sun Empire. In the future, the entire Burning Sun Empire would be their world. Lu Ming didn't say anything and continued to walk toward the Imperial Palace. However, a sharp light flashed across his eyes. The 6 heroes of the Burning Sun tribe, he would reach this height sooner or later, or even surpass it. He successfully entered the Imperial Palace and met with Hua Qi. Unfortunately, although the Imperial Palace had sent out a large number of people, there was still no news of his father. Lu Ming sighed and could only wait. After discussing the current situation with Hua Qi, Lu Ming left the Imperial Palace. When he arrived at the entrance of the Star General Hall, he saw that a large number of students had gathered and were dispersing. Tunyun, he's back. Damn it, why did he only appear now? Why didn't he appear before? It's all his fault. Murmurs could be heard from the surrounding students. Of course, they were whispering, afraid that Lu Ming would hear them. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't understand what was going on. Big brother Tianyun. At this moment, with a soft cry, Ming Feng came over. Ming Peak, what's going on? Lu Ming asked. Big brother Tianyun, it's the Shifang Sword faction. Just now, the disciples of the Shifang Sword faction came and threatened to cripple you. However, you weren't here and everyone said that you were in seclusion. Those disciples of the Shifang Sword faction injured more than a dozen students of the Star General Hall. They were extremely arrogant. Ming Peak whispered. Shifang Sword faction again. Killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Big brother Tianyun, I think you should avoid them for now. I heard that among the disciples of the Shifang Sword faction, there's a genius on the silver list. He's an existence that stands at the peak of the martial grandmaster realm, and is extremely powerful. Ming Peak said worriedly, if they come again, let me know. Lu Ming said in a domineering tone before he returned to his dormitory. In the following days, Lu Ming stayed in his dormitory and practiced various martial techniques on the 3rd platform of the Temple of Paragon. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. During this half a month, The geniuses of the 5 major sects gathered in the imperial capital. Not only were there geniuses of the martial grandmaster realm, but there were also geniuses of the martial grandmaster realm. Even the gold-class disciples of the various sects could be seen occasionally. However, during this half a month, although all the sects had gathered, it was very peaceful. Even the disciples of the Shifeng sword faction didn't look for Lu Ming again. However, everyone felt that the atmosphere wasn't right. As if it was the eve of a storm. It was unusually depressing. Half a month later, the Emperor of the Blazing Sun Empire, Hua Zhengxing's 60th birthday celebration began. Early in the morning, Hua Qi took a beast carriage to pick up Lu Ming. They arrived at the imperial palace together. The birthday celebration was held in the front yard of the imperial palace. The area was extremely spacious, but there were only a few dozen tables. Because those who could come here were all people of noble status, there weren't many people. Lu Ming followed Hua Qi and sat at a table on the right. As time passed, the number of people gradually increased. Some of Hua Qi's brothers and sisters, as well as the imperial concubines, princes and ministers, all took their seats one by one. The Valley Master of the Crimson Cloud Valley and the elders have arrived. A loud shout spread throughout the entire venue. The faces of the princes, princesses, imperial concubines, and ministers all changed as they stood up together. Lu Ming didn't want to be too special, so he also stood up. At the gate, a group of 6 people walked in with majestic steps. The person in the lead looked middle-aged with a full beard. He wore a red robe and was extremely tall and sturdy. His gaze swept across, and everyone felt as if a vast sea was surging towards them. It was incomparably terrifying. Behind him, there were 4 old men who also wore red robes, but the red robes were trimmed with gold. They were the golden-robed elders of the Crimson Cloud Valley. The last one was a young man, but he was one of the 6 heroes, Ling Yanqi. Greetings to the Valley Master of the Crimson Cloud Valley. All the imperial concubines, princes, and ministers bowed to the Valley Master of the Crimson Cloud Valley. It could be seen how declining the imperial family was. They were respectful in front of the 5 major sections. Haha, no need to be so polite. Where's His Majesty? Hasn't he arrived yet? Chapter 253. Haha, Brotherling, you came so quickly. Please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. Bold laughter rang out as Hua Zhengxing strode over with a few guards in tow. The other concubines, ministers, princes, and princesses bowed to Hua Zhengxing. The Crimson Cloud Valley Master stood up and cupped his fists. Greetings, Your Majesty. Congratulations on your 60th birthday. This is a small gift, please accept it. The Crimson Cloud Valley Master took out a jade box and handed it to Hua Zhengxing. Brotherling, you're too polite. Hua Zhengxing smiled and accepted the jade box, handing it to a guard. Mystic Essence Sword Sect Master and Elders have arrived. At this moment another shout was heard. Lu Ming looked towards the source of the voice. Mystic Essence Sword Sect Master Lin Shui walked in with a few golden-robed elders. Feng Wuji was also beside them. Lin Shui greets Your Majesty. I wish Your Majesty a long life. This is a small gift, please accept it. Lin Shui walked over, took out a jade box, and handed it to Hua Zhengxing. Brother Lin, it's my honor that you're here. There's no need to be so polite. Please take a seat. Hua Zhengxing accepted the gift and said politely. At this moment another shout was heard. It was the Ghost Moon Saber Sect Master and Elders of one of the 5 major sections. Among them one of the 6 heroes, the number 1 genius of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect, Shangguan Luo, had also arrived. 3 of the 5 major sects had arrived. Soon one of the 5 major sects, the Heaven Fiend Sect, had also arrived. Everyone took their seats, and Hua Zhengxing chatted with the 4 sect masters. 10 Directions Sword Sect Master and Elders have arrived. Sky Suppressing King has arrived. Several shouts were heard. Everyone was shocked. Lu Ming looked towards the entrance. A group of people walked in. The person in the lead was dressed in luxurious clothes. His eyebrows were sharp like swords. Although he was middle-aged, he was extremely handsome. Just one look at him and one could feel that he had the power to conquer mountains and rivers. Beside him was a burly man in his 50s. He had a stocky build and wore a dragon robe. As he looked around, A murderous aura could be vaguely seen. He was like a general who had dominated the battlefield. The person in the lead is 10 Direction Sword Sect Master, Qiu Wuyang. Beside him is Sky Suppressing King. Hua Qi whispered in Lu Ming's ear. Lu Ming nodded. He looked at the muscular man in the Jiao Dragon robe and thought, so he is Heavenly King Suppression. Lu Ming still remembered how he had taught the suppressing Heavenly King's son, Hua Jia, a harsh lesson when he had just arrived at the imperial city. Thinking of Hua Jia, Lu Ming realized that there was a pair of eyes filled with killing intent behind Heavenly King Suppression. If it wasn't Hua Jia, who else could it be? Lu Ming smiled faintly at Hua Jia and pointed to his crotch. Hua Jia's face turned red and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Obviously, Lu Ming was referring to him peeing his pants in fright. However, with so many important figures present, how could he dare to flare up? He could only grit his teeth and bear with it. Haha. Brother Qiu has graced us with your presence. This emperor is extremely honored. Hua Zhengxing quickly got up and cupped his fists at Qiu Wuyang with a smile on his face. The other concubines, princes and princesses also stood up and bowed respectfully. Your Majesty is too polite. I came in a hurry today and forgot to bring a gift. Please forgive me. Qiu Wuyang nodded indifferently. There was no trace of respect in his tone. It could be said that he didn't care at all. To put it in a bad way, he didn't take the emperor seriously at all. The other sect masters would more or less greet him politely, but Qiu Wuyang's attitude was cold. Not to mention greeting him, he even said that he didn't have time to bring birthday gifts. How childish was this reason? The other sect masters' faces turned ugly. Hua Zhengxing was even more stunned. Then he forced a smile and said, Brother Qiu, it's enough that you're here. There's no need for gifts. Please take a seat. Second brother, I came with Sect Master Qiu and forgot to bring gifts. Please don't take offense. Haha. Heavenly King Suppression laughed and sat down on the side. Damn it. Hua Qi was so angry that his whole body trembled and his teeth chattered. Qiu Wuyang and Heavenly King Suppression's attitude was blatant contempt. They even ignored the emperor's authority, and didn't take the emperor of the Burning Sun Empire seriously at all. Anger flashed across Hua Zhengxing's eyes, but he hid it well. In the blink of an eye, a smile appeared on his face. He returned to his seat and raised his wine cup. It's my great honor to have all of you here today. Come, let me toast to all of you. Everyone raised their cups and drank it in one gulp. Haha, this is great. All of you are the pillars of the Burning Sun Empire. Hua Zhengxing said with a laugh, but he was interrupted at this moment. All right, Your Majesty. The wine has been drunk and the congratulations have been given. It's time to talk about business. Qiu Wuyang said flatly, stopping Hua Zhengxing in the middle of his sentence. Hua Zhengxing, as well as some other nobles and ministers, had ugly expressions on their faces. Interrupting others was an extremely rude thing to do, let alone the emperor of a country. Qiu Wuyang did not take the royal family seriously at all. Qiu Wuyang, we are here today to celebrate His Majesty's birthday. This is the proper business. Is there anything else? Lin Shui looked at Qiu Wuyang and said coldly. Qiu Wuyang's attitude was too much. Hua Zhengxing looked at Lin Shui gratefully. Of course there is something else. Although His Majesty's birthday celebration is important, it is much less important compared to this. Qiu Wuyang glanced at Lin Shui indifferently. A murderous aura flashed across the depths of his eyes. He then looked around and said, Everyone, what do you think of the Burning Sun Empire? Everyone's eyes flickered. They didn't understand why Qiu Wuyang asked this question. After a while, an elder cupped his fists and said, With the support of His Majesty and the various sect leaders, the Burning Sun Empire's national strength is improving day by day. It is only a matter of time before we surpass other countries. This elder was the Prime Minister of the Burning Sun Empire, and was loyal to the imperial family. Bullshit. Qiu Wuyang flung his sleeves and scolded. The Prime Minister's face flushed red. As the Prime Minister, how could he be scolded in public like this? Where was his dignity? But in front of Qiu Wuyang, he didn't dare to refute and could only hold it in. Hua Zhengxing's face was also ugly. Scolding the Prime Minister was indirectly scolding him. Currently, the 36 countries of Emperor Yun are working hard and improving their strength. The Burning Sun Empire is surrounded by strong enemies. The other countries are eyeing us covetously, and most of them are stronger than the Burning Sun Empire. Everyone knows this, right? Among the 36 countries of Emperor Yun, the Burning Sun Empire's strength is at the bottom. Qiu Wuyang looked around and said loudly. Everyone's face changed slightly. Qiu Wuyang was right. Among the 36 countries of Emperor Yun, the Burning Sun Empire's strength was indeed at the bottom. Moreover, the surrounding countries were eyeing them covetously. The Burning Sun Empire has many geniuses and experts. But why is it getting weaker and weaker? Do you know the reason? Qiu Wuyang asked. Everyone frowned. They didn't know what Qiu Wuyang was trying to say. Seeing that no one spoke, Qiu Wuyang smiled faintly and said, "That is, the strength of the Burning Sun Empire is too spread out and everyone fights for themselves. It would be strange if they weren't weak." "Oh, Qiu Wuyang, what should we do according to what you said?" Chapter 254. Of course we have to combine our forces. I suggest that we establish a Burning Sun Alliance. All the sects and forces of the Burning Sun Empire must join this alliance and elect a leader. Then, they must swear that they will listen to the leader's orders. This way the Burning Sun Empire will be strong, and able to defend against external enemies, and become stronger. Qiu Wuyang said loudly. Ha ha ha, Qiu Wuyang, your goal has finally been revealed. You want to be the leader and command the world, right? Lin Shui laughed. Lin Shui, what are you laughing at? I think that sect leader Qiu's suggestion is great. Besides, who else in the Burning Sun Empire has the qualifications to be the leader? Heavenly King Suppression stood up and said loudly. Heavenly King Suppression, you are wrong. In the Burning Sun Empire, the royal family is the orthodox. Why do we have to go through so much trouble and establish a Burning Sun Alliance? We can just listen to His Majesty. Red Cloud Valley Master retorted. In the world of martial arts, the strong are respected. Forgive me for being blunt, but His Majesty doesn't have the qualifications. Qiu Wuyang said coldly. Kiki. Hua Zhongxing clenched his fists tightly. Insult, this was a blatant insult. This was equivalent to slapping the emperor's face in public. Damn it, damn it. Hua Qi let out a low roar as his body trembled due to the atmosphere. Bam! A white-haired elder slammed the table and stood up abruptly. He raised his trembling hand and pointed at Qiu Wuyang as he shouted angrily, Qiu Wuyang, you have committed treason and insulted His Majesty. You deserve to die 1,000 times. Deserve to die 1,000 times? I think you are the one who deserves to die. Qiu Wuyang's eyes flashed as 2 rays of sword qi shot out from his eyes. They were extremely fast and there was almost no warning. Puchi. The elder was pierced by the sword qi. 2 sword holes appeared on his aged body. No blood flowed out, but there was no sign of life. Teacher. Hua Zhongxing roared angrily. This elder was Hua Zhongxing's teacher and the emperor's preceptor. However, he was killed by Qiu Wuyang's gaze. Qiu Wuyang, you have gone too far. Hua Zhongxing was seething with anger as he glared at Qiu Wuyang. However, Qiu Wuyang only smiled faintly as if he had just killed an ant. He said, this old man has ulterior motives. He wants to destroy the great plan of governing the country. I suspect that he is a spy sent by other empires to destroy the Burning Sun Empire. Such a person naturally has to be killed as soon as possible. With just a few words he managed to turn an imperial preceptor into a spy. Hua Zhongxing, Hua Qi, and the rest of the imperial family were enraged and humiliated. But there was nothing they could do. The Decimo sword sect was too powerful. Hua Qi clenched his fists tightly. Because he used too much strength, his nails pierced into his flesh and blood flowed out, but he didn't feel anything. Lu Ming frowned and patted Hua Qi's back. A stream of true qi flowed into Hua Qi's body. Only then did Hua Qi slowly calm down. Otherwise, he would have suffered from internal injuries due to excessive agitation. What do you think of my suggestion? Qiu Wuyang looked around and asked. I agree with Sect Master Qiu's proposal. At this moment the Heaven Fiend Sect Master smiled faintly. The moment Heaven Fiend Sect Master said that, the faces of the other 3 sects Sect Masters changed. Why would the Heaven Fiend sect agree? Could it be that they had already joined forces with the Decimo Sword sect? If that was the case, then the situation was serious. The Decimo Sword sect was already very powerful. If the Heaven Fiend sect joined forces with them, then the balance of the Blazing Sun Empire would be broken. Haha, brother, you really understand me. Qiu Wuyang laughed and looked at the other sections. Qiu Wuyang, stop dreaming. My Mystic Essence Sword sect will never agree. Lin Shui sneered. My Crimson Cloud Valley will not accompany you. My Ghost Moon Saber sect is not interested either. The sect masters of the Crimson Cloud Valley and Ghost Moon Saber sect rejected as well. Qiu Wuyang's face darkened. He then looked at Hua Zhengxing and asked, Your Majesty, what about you? Me? Haha, the Blazing Sun Empire has a history of more than 2,000 years. How can I destroy thousands of years of foundation in my hands? Please forgive me, but it is very difficult for me to agree. Hua Zhengxing said coldly. Hua Zhengxing, you have to think carefully. For the sake of your Hua family and the lives of tens of thousands of people, think carefully. Murderous intent flashed across Qiu Wuyang's eyes as he said coldly, Qiu Wuyang, what are you doing? Are you threatening His Majesty? Do you really think that the Decimo Sword sect is invincible? Lin Shui was enraged and shouted loudly, I don't know if my Decimo Sword sect is invincible, but I can still destroy your Mystic Essence Sword sect. Why? Do you want to try? Qiu Wuyang said coldly, Let's try. Let's see how you can destroy my Mystic Essence Sword sect. Lin Shui did not back down. The aura on her body surged and a terrifying sword chi soared into the sky. There was a terrifying aura in this sword chi. Lin Shui, we have not fought for decades. Today I would like to see how much you have improved. Boom! As Qiu Wuyang's voice fell, an extremely powerful aura erupted from his body. At the same time, a ray of sword chi soared into the sky. Boom! Lin Shui's and Qiu Wuyang's sword chi met in the air and collided violently. There was an earth-shattering boom and the entire imperial capital shook. The place where the two sword chi collided formed a light pillar that shot into the sky and smashed the clouds in the sky. At this moment, everyone in the imperial capital was staring at this pillar of light in a daze. They were extremely shocked. The light pillar could be seen even further away from the imperial capital. Everyone was guessing what kind of existences were fighting. In the imperial palace, Lu Ming looked on in shock. Was this the strength of a sect leader and an overlord of the Blazing Sun Empire? It was indeed terrifying. It was as deep as the sea and unfathomable. An ordinary martial arts grandmaster could be killed with a flick of their fingers. In the previous move, the two of them did not really fight. It was just an exchange of aura. If they really fought, the imperial capital would be destroyed. Aura, what powerful aura. Their auras have definitely reached perfection. There is even a hint of will in it. Lu Ming's mind was racing. After one's aura reached perfection, one could use the aura as a foundation to comprehend will. For example, fire intent, wind intent, etc. Will was the essence of heaven and earth and was extremely powerful. Only by comprehending will could one step into the martial king realm. Lin Shui, today I will kill you first. Qiu Wuyang roared. His sword chi soared into the sky and stirred up the clouds. I'm not afraid of you. Lin Shui's long hair fluttered in the wind. She was extremely powerful and did not back down in the face of Qiu Wuyang. Boom! Boom! At this moment, two auras exploded. They were extremely terrifying and were not inferior to Lin Shui's and Qiu Wuyang's. It was the Scarlet Cloud Valley Master and the Ghost Moon Saber sect leader. Their auras combined with Lin Shui's to suppress Qiu Wuyang. Qiu Wuyang, do you really think that the Blazing Sun Empire belongs to the Shifang Sword sect? Don't go overboard. The Scarlet Cloud Valley Master said. The Scarlet Cloud Valley and the Mystic Essence Sword sect had always been on good terms. Naturally, he was on Lin Shui's side. Chapter 255. Qiu Wuyang's expression changed instantly. The three Overlord-class characters had joined forces and made him feel extremely pressured. Lin Shui, what are you doing? You attacked Sect Master Qiu in the palace. Are you confident that the imperial family will take you seriously? Heavenly King Suppression roared. Many people despised him. The one who did not take the imperial family seriously was Qiu Wuyang. Heavenly King Suppression did not speak up when he humiliated the imperial family just now. Now he jumped out to suppress Lin Shui and the others with the imperial family's name. Despicable and shameless. Good, very good. Lin Shui Ling Patian, let's wait and see. Qiu Wuyang repeated the word good several times. His gaze was unusually cold as it swept over Lin Shui, Valley Master Scarlet Cloud, and the rest of the group before finally landing on Hua Zhangxing. Hua Zhangxing, you take care of yourself. His voice was cold and the threat was obvious. Then he waved his hand and stepped into the air to leave. The others from Decimo Sword Sect followed closely behind. Brother, you are so ignorant. The Hua family will be destroyed in your hands sooner or later. Heavenly King Suppression stared at Hua Zhangxing angrily. Trend? The general trend is to have the entire Hua clan submit to the 10 Direction Sword Sect and become their slaves? Hua Zhangxing spoke and looked at Heavenly King Suppression mockingly. You, Heavenly King Suppression's face turned ugly. He snorted and left with Hua Jie and the others. Before leaving, Heavenly King Suppression glanced at Lu Ming, which made Lu Ming's hair stand on end. That was a blatant killing intent. Your Majesty, I will take my leave first. The Heaven Fiend sect leader smiled and stood up to bid farewell, leaving with his men. Only 3 of the 5 major sects were left. The birthday banquet continued, but Hua Zhangxing, Lin Shui, and the other sect masters of the 3 major sects all had serious expressions. Today, Qiu Wuyang suddenly proposed to establish the Sun Alliance and the Sky Fiend sect agreed. They guessed that the Sky Fiend sect had most likely joined forces with Decimo Sword sect. This was a big deal. The balance of power in the Sun Empire was going to be broken. The Sun Empire was going to enter troubled times. The atmosphere of the birthday banquet was very tense. Soon the 3 major sects also left. Not long after, Lu Ming also got up to leave. Lu Ming, I'm sure you've seen what happened today. The Decimo Sword sect is simply too ambitious and lawless. Hua Qi gnashed his teeth as he sent Lu Ming to the entrance of the palace. Lu Ming patted Hua Qi's shoulder. He didn't say anything and returned to the Star General Hall. Returning to the General Hall and sitting on his bed, Lu Ming's thoughts flew about, unable to calm down. The Emperor's birthday banquet today allowed him to truly see the undercurrent of the burning Sun Empire. He had a feeling that the burning Sun Empire was about to fall into chaos. A terrifying storm would probably sweep through the empire in the near future. As for him, because of his friends and family, he was already deeply involved in the whirlpool and could not stay out of it. The only thing he could do now was to increase his strength as much as possible. Without strength, he would only be crushed into powder in this storm. Taking a few deep breaths, Zhang Xian adjusted his mood and began cultivating. Somewhere in the imperial capital, there was an extremely luxurious palace that was even more luxurious than the palace. This was the residence of the Decimo Sword sect in the imperial capital. In the depths of the palace, in a large hall, Qiu Wuyang sat on the seat of honor. Below him sat the golden-robed elders of the Decimo Sword sect. Bam! Qiu Wuyang slammed the table with a gloomy face. Mystic Essence Sword sect, Crimson Cloud Valley, and Ghost Moon Saber sect. I already knew that these 3 sects would not agree. A bunch of damn things. Sect Master, especially that Lin Shui has been targeting Sect Master. She actually dared to fight Sect Master. She really overestimated herself. A golden-robed elder said, Lin Shui, the Mystic Essence Sword sect won't be arrogant for long. Qiu Wuyang sneered. After pondering for a while, Qiu Wuyang said, it's time to let them know the strength of our Decimo Sword sect. Pass down the order. Let the younger generation make the first move and break their morale. Let them understand how weak their so-called geniuses are. Yes, the golden-robed elders replied in unison. 3 days later, a piece of news swept through the imperial capital like a storm. One of the 6 heroes of the Decimo Sword sect, Guan Hong, challenged the Mystic Essence Sword sect's Feng Wuji and the Crimson Cloud Valley's Ling Yanqi. The location was at the highest peak of the imperial capital, the Sunset Peak. Once the news spread, everyone went crazy. Among the 6 heroes of the Blazing Sun sect, each of the other 4 sects had 1 person. Only the Decimo Sword sect had 2 people. One was Cho Chongkong and the other was Guan Hong. Cho Chongkong was the leader of the 6 heroes. He was extremely powerful and could easily suppress the other 5. As for the other 5, they had never fought before. No one knew who was stronger. Now were they finally going to fight? Countless people rushed to the Sunset Peak, wanting to see the battle between the 6 heroes. When Lu Ming finished his 3-day seclusion and walked out of his room, he saw Ming Peak rushing over. Ming Peak, what's the hurry? Lu Ming asked. Big brother Tianyun, let's go to the Sunset Peak. The battle between the 6 heroes is about to start. Guanhong is challenging Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi. My big brother and the others have already rushed over and asked me to look for you. If we don't go now, it will be too late. Ming Peak said while panting. Chapter 256. The sword seemed to be able to cut through the sky. Its power was terrifying. Feng Wuji also roared and slashed out a shocking sword light. Boom! A terrifying fluctuation was heard, and the space trembled under the powerful sword chi. Then Feng Wuji's figure was pushed back. His body trembled, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Feng Wuji is injured. Feng Wuji has lost. Suddenly, there was an earth-shattering shout around the Sunset Peak. Countless people were shouting excitedly. The other 5 of the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun had finally won. Guanhong defeated Feng Wuji. The Decimo Sword faction is too strong. Not only did Qiu Chongkong defeat the other heroes, but even Guanhong is so strong. The number 1 sect of the Burning Sun Empire lives up to its name. In the future, the Decimo Sword faction will be even stronger. Many people sighed. Feng Wuji, you're just SOSO. Guanhong stood in the air and said proudly. Feng Wuji's face was dejected. He sighed and said, Guanhong, I didn't expect your force to be so strong. It's not surprising that I lost. Guanhong smiled proudly and said, Feng Wuji, in my opinion, you're not qualified to be called the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun Empire. Let's change it to the 5 heroes. As soon as he said that, many people's faces changed, and Feng Wuji's face turned ugly. Guanhong's words were to kick Feng Wuji out of the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun Empire. If that was really the case, it wouldn't just be Feng Wuji but the entire Mystic Essence Sword sect. The Mystic Essence Sword sect's reputation would be greatly damaged, and some geniuses might not even choose to join the Mystic Essence Sword sect in the future. Guanhong, you're just lucky to win against Brother Feng. Why are you so arrogant? Someone shouted from the side. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and discovered that there were a few people standing in the sky by the side. Lu Ming was distracted by the battle between Feng Wuji and Guanhong, so he didn't notice them until now. There were 4 people in total. Lu Ming had seen 3 of them at the Emperor's birthday banquet. They were the other 3 of the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun Empire. Ling Yanqi from the Crimson Cloud Valley. He was the one who shouted. There were also Shangguan Qi from the Ghost Moon Saber sect, and Zuolian from the Sky sect. There was another person who was extremely young, only about 23 or 24 years old. He carried a broadsword on his back and stood proudly. Guanhong looked at Ling Yanqi. Guanhong, this time you declared that you would challenge me and Brother Feng. Now that it's my turn, I won't take advantage of you. Now circulate your qi and adjust your breathing. Once you've recovered, we'll fight. Ling Yanqi continued. Ling Yanqi, who said I want to fight with you? The one who dealt with you was someone else. Guanhong smiled coldly. Someone else? Ling Yanqi was stunned. He could not help but look at Shangguanqiong and Zuolian. Ling Yanqi, you're looking at the wrong place. The one fighting with you is me. The young man with a sword on his back stepped forward and said proudly. You. Ling Yanqi was stunned. Everyone else was stunned. This young man was obviously a disciple of the 10 Directions Sword sect, but almost no one knew him. 10 Directions Sword sect actually wanted to let a youth with no reputation fight Ling Yanqi? Was this arrogance or an insult? Ha ha ha, Guanhong, are you sure he's qualified to fight with me? Ling Yanqi's eyes were full of anger. Whether he's qualified or not, we'll know after the fight. Guanhong smiled coldly. From now on, the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun will be replaced. The young man said proudly. Haha, boy, you're very confident, aren't you? Ling Yanqi laughed out of anger. It's not confidence, it's strength. Remember, the one who defeated you is Cho Chonglai. The young man shouted and his aura burst out. The sword on his back unsheathed and flew up to the sky, slashing at Ling Yanqi. The sword shook the heavens and the earth. It was terrifying. In an instant, most of the people's faces changed. They were extremely shocked, because the sword was too powerful. In the sky, Ling Yanqi's face turned solemn. His body emitted scorching waves and a spear appeared in his hand. He waved the spear and a giant flaming eagle was formed, attacking Cho Chonglai. Boom! With a loud boom, Ling Yanqi and Cho Chonglai both retreated. Then they roared and fought again. He's too powerful. Who is this Cho Chonglai? He's not famous before, but his combat strength is so strong that he can fight with Ling Yanqi. I'm afraid he's a genius secretly cultivated by the Shifang sword sect. On the sunset peak, countless people looked at the battle in the sky and discussed. In the sky, Feng Wuji, Shangguan Luo, and the others looked solemn. Guan Hong, on the other hand, revealed a cold smile. Boom! Boom! In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 100 blows. Bang! At this moment, an earth-shattering sound was heard. Then a figure flew back. It was Ling Yanqi. The crowd quieted down. Did Ling Yanqi lose? Swoosh! Ling Yanqi retreated for more than 1,000 meters before he stopped. He stood silently in the void, unmoving. Suddenly, Ling Yanqi's body trembled and a blood arrow shot out from his chest. At this moment, the crowd saw a long sword wound on Ling Yanqi's chest. Ling Yanqi was defeated. He was defeated by an unknown young man from the Shifang sword sect. The sunset peak was in an uproar. This news was like a whirlwind, spreading from the sunset peak to the entire imperial capital. The Shifang sword sect was too strong. First, Guan Hong defeated Feng Wuji. Then, a young man appeared and defeated Ling Yanqi. It was too shocking. From now on, the situation of the younger generation in the Burning Sun sect would change substantially. Should he exclude Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi from the list? Or should they add one more person? No matter what, the Shifang sword sect's reputation would reach its peak. In the sky, Ling Yanqi's body trembled slightly. His eyes were filled with disbelief. I told you to remember that the one who defeated you is called Cho Chonglai. Cho Chonglai smiled arrogantly, a hint of disdain appearing on his face. Brother Ling, are you okay? Feng Wuji appeared beside Ling Yanqi and injected a stream of true qi into him. I'm fine. Ling Yanqi smiled bitterly. Feng Wuji sighed. Today, he and Ling Yanqi were completely defeated. From now on, the reputation of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley would plummet. On the other hand, the Shifang Sword Sect would rise. Wonderful, wonderful. The heroes of the Shifang Sword Sect are really admirable. Zuolian of the Sky Demon Sect clapped his hands and walked out. He then looked at Shangguan Chong and said, Brother Shangguan, since you're here today, why don't we fight? Let's fight. Shangguan Chong was very direct. He stared at Zuolian. The crowd was excited. 2 more of the Burning Sun 6 heroes were going to fight. Boom! Without any warning, Shangguan Chong and Zuolian started fighting. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Ming Peak, stay here and watch. I'll go first. At this moment, Lu Ming said to Ming Peak. Chapter 257. You can keep watching. Lu Ming smiled. He then moved and headed down the sunset peak. He didn't come here to see the outcome of the battle between the 6 heroes, but to see their strength. Now that he had a rough idea of the strength of the 6 Burning Sun heroes, there was no need for him to continue watching. He couldn't care less about the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun tribe. Lu Ming moved like a gust of wind and returned to the dormitory very quickly. He sat cross-legged on his bed and closed his eyes. The battle scene of the 6 Burning Sun heroes appeared in his mind. He had a rough idea of the strength of the 6 Burning Sun heroes. Feng Wuji, Ling Yanqi, Guan Hong, Cho Chonglai, and the others were all at the peak of LV3 Martial Grandmaster realm, but their combat strength was terrifying. They were at least at LV5 Martial Grandmaster realm. That was Martial Grandmaster realm. The higher one's martial arts realm was, the harder it was to fight above one's level. In the Martial Grandmaster realm, those who could fight above 1 level were already peerless geniuses, let alone 2 levels. As for Guanhong and Qiu Chonglai, they could only win because their force or martial techniques were stronger. The 6 Burning Sun heroes are indeed worthy of their reputation. They are only in their 20s, but many of the older grandmasters are no match for them. Lu Ming thought to himself. However, Lu Ming was not discouraged. Instead, his eyes were burning with passion. Although the 6 Burning Sun heroes were strong, he was confident that he could catch up with or even surpass them soon. After thinking for a while, Lu Ming left the Star General Hall and went to the Treasure Pavilion again. He used the last 400,000 spiritual crystals. He had to buy 100 Class 9 LV3 monster cores. After buying the monster cores, Lu Ming went into the Divine Wind Valley. The arduous cultivation continued. Every day Lu Ming would gain something. Be it his cultivation level, martial arts techniques, or force, all of them improved. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. Lu Ming had refined all 100 monster cores. He walked out of the Divine Wind Valley at this time. He returned to his dormitory but did not go in. Instead, he went to Ming Peak's room. He wanted to find Ming Peak to ask about the situation in the Imperial City in the past month. He had a premonition that the Imperial capital wouldn't be peaceful during this month. Many things would definitely happen. When he arrived at Ming Peak's dormitory, he found that Ming Peak was not there. Could it be in Myongcheng's place? With a thought, Lu Ming walked towards Myongcheng's dormitory. Now Myongcheng had replaced Bai Qi's position as one of the top 10 experts of the outer hall. He lived in a courtyard. When he arrived at Myongcheng's dormitory, he found that Ming Peak and Pearl were both here. They were sitting on a stone bench in the courtyard with Myongcheng and were chatting. "Big brother Tianyun, you've come out of seclusion?" Ming Peak grinned when he saw Lu Ming. "Lu Ming, others call me a martial arts madman, but I think you're the real one. You can still go into seclusion peacefully at this time." Myongcheng smiled. "Oh, why can't I go into seclusion peacefully? Did something big happen in the Imperial City during this time?" Lu Ming asked with a smile. "Of course. During this period of time, the Imperial City has been in turmoil." Myongcheng said, "A month ago, Feng Wuji and Ling Yanqi were defeated in the battle between the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun sect. Shangguan Qiu and Zhuo Lian fought and exchanged thousands of blows. However, this matter didn't end there. A few days later, the gold-ranked disciples of the various sects fought fiercely. However, the 10 Direction Sword sect was extremely powerful. They had the upper hand in the battle between the gold-ranked disciples. About 10 days ago, the 10 Direction Sword sect sent out a 9th-level martial grandmaster to challenge the Mystic Essence Sword sect, Crimson Cloud Valley, and Star General Hall. The Star General Hall was the first to suffer a crushing defeat. The strongest group of people in the inner hall were swept away by a disciple of the 10 Direction Sword sect without any power to fight back. After that, the Crimson Cloud Valley and the Mystic Essence Sword sect also suffered a crushing defeat. The disciples sent out by the 10 Direction Sword sect were too strong. They were invincible in the martial Grand Master realm. The disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect on the silver ranking were all defeated. Ming Cheng gave a brief account of what had happened. Lu Ming was also secretly surprised. In this month, many things had happened in the imperial capital. In this month, the reputation of the 10 Direction Sword sect has been like the sun in the sky. On the other hand, the Mystic Essence Sword sect, Crimson Cloud Valley, and the others have suffered a great decline in reputation. Especially the royal family, they have been suppressed even more. It is said that the Mystic Essence Sword sect has already mobilized the Qilin Courtyard's geniuses with special bloodlines to come here and compete with the geniuses of the 10 Direction Sword sect. Myongcheng said, "Big brother, among the 9th layer martial grand masters sent by the 10 Direction Sword sect, there is a special bloodline. If the Mystic Essence Sword sect or Crimson Cloud Valley's geniuses with special bloodlines come here, they might be able to fight." Pearl said with her bright eyes, "It's hard to say. I heard that the strongest martial grand masters of the 10 Direction Sword sect have not made their move yet." Myongcheng said, "It can't be?" Myongcheng and Ming Peak were speechless. "Myongcheng, brother Myongcheng, something big has happened." Suddenly, a young man rushed in hurriedly. "Che Yuan, what's wrong?" Myongcheng looked at the young man and asked, I heard that the Mystic Essence Sword Sex geniuses with special bloodlines have arrived, and the 10 Direction Sword Sex disciples have already come to challenge them. The young man said, What? So soon? Let's go and have a look. Myongcheng shouted, then looked at Lu Ming and said, Brother Tianyun, do you want to come with us? Lu Ming's eyes moved and he nodded. Together with Myongcheng and the others, they rushed to the Mystic Essence Sword Sex residence in Imperial City. When they arrived, they found that the entrance of the Mystic Essence Sword Sex residence was already surrounded by people. At the front, there were more than 10 Direction Sword Sex disciples. A 10 Direction Sword Sex disciple stood at the entrance of the Mystic Essence Sword Sex residence and shouted arrogantly, Mystic Essence Sword Sex trash, hurry up and come out. What special bloodline geniuses? I think they're just a bunch of trash. Ha ha ha. The other 10 Direction Sword Sex disciples burst into laughter, full of contempt. A few of the Mystic Essence Sword Sex guards turned pale. Mystic Essence Sword Sex trash, hurry up and come out. Are you trying to be a coward? The young man at the front continued to shout. Tianyun, this young man is called Wuxia. He's extremely powerful. During this period of time, he defeated almost all of the Mystic Essence Sword Sex martial grandmasters by himself. Myongcheng whispered to Lu Ming. Creak. At that moment, the door of the Mystic Essence Sword Sex residence opened, and a few young men and women walked out. There were a total of 4 of them, 3 men and 1 woman. All of them had an imposing aura, and it was obvious that they were giants among men. Humph, Wuxia, don't think that you're invincible just because you defeated those trash from the 4 great halls. Comparing us to those trash is your biggest mistake. A young man carrying a battle axe walked out and said arrogantly. Lu Ming could not help but curl his lips. The people from the Qilin courtyard were really the same. Regardless of their cultivation level, they were all high and mighty. Of course, except for the mid-autumn moon, Lu Ming added in his heart. Special bloodlines are also divided into high and low ranks. Some special bloodlines are trash. In my opinion, you guys are similar to those trash. Wuxia sneered. You're courting death. Chapter 258. The young man from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect shouted and slashed down with his battle axe. The battle axe carried a terrifying force. Obviously, these geniuses who were at the peak of the martial grandmaster realm had comprehended the force and were not weak at all. Child's play. Wuxia sneered and punched out. A terrifying fist force landed on the battle axe. Dong! With a loud explosion, the young man with the battle axe retreated slightly. Damn it! Explode! The young man with the battle axe roared and an ancient battle axe floated above his head. There were 6 blood-red chakras on the battle axe. This was his special bloodline. The battle axe vibrated and merged with the young man, causing his aura to surge. Sky-splitting slash. The young man roared and slashed out with his battle axe. This axe strike was capable of splitting mountains and splitting the heavens. Its might was 2 times stronger than the previous axe strike. Buzz! At that moment, a blood-red light flashed on Wuxia's body and a boundless mountain appeared above his head. The mountain was ancient like a demonic mountain in the primordial times. Wuxia's bloodline was a mountain. Without a doubt, this was also a special bloodline. How mysterious! Wuxia's bloodline is a mountain. I've never seen him use it before. Someone shouted. Demonic mountain of hell! Wuxia roared and punched out. The terrifying fist force turned into a boundless demonic mountain and pressed down on the young man with the battle axe. Slash it open! The young man with the battle axe roared and slashed the mountain with his battle axe. Boom! With a violent tremor, the mountain was not slashed open. Instead, the young man with the battle axe trembled and his body was pressed down by the mountain and smashed to the ground. With a blood-curdling scream, blood and flesh splattered everywhere. The young man with the battle axe was crushed into a pulp by the mountain. A genius with a special bloodline was killed just like that. Special bloodlines contain ancient and mysterious secrets. Only by comprehending a mysterious secret skill can one unleash the power of the special bloodline to the extreme. What's the point of leaving a piece of trash who can only use special bloodlines to comprehend the force and cultivate martial skills alive? Wu Kuei sneered. The remaining young men from the Mystic Essence Sword sect looked terrible. Now who wants to fight? Wu Kuei looked at the remaining people. In the martial Grandmaster realm, the duration of his bloodline eruption had increased to a shocking 10 minutes. He could already fight for a long period of time. The remaining members of the Mystic Essence Sword sect looked at each other with grave expressions. For a moment no one stepped out. What? What a bunch of trash. Is this the strength of your Mystic Essence Sword sect? How disappointing. Let me tell you, there are still 5 people stronger than me in the Decimo Sword sect. Wu Kuei sneered. What? 5 more people? Impossible. Someone shouted. Everyone was shocked by Wu Kuei's words. Originally, everyone thought that with Wu Kuei's strength, he would definitely be one of the top few in the Shifang Sword sect. He might even be the strongest martial grandmaster in the Shifang Sword sect. But now, Wu Kuei actually said that there were 5 people stronger than him in the 10 Direction Sword sect. How is this possible? If it was true, wouldn't it be too terrifying? Your Mystic Essence Sword sect can't even beat me, who is ranked 6th. In my opinion, you should just withdraw from the 5 great sections. Wu Kuei continued to taunt. Damn it, I'll fight you. Among the remaining 3 people from the Mystic Essence Sword sect, a young man with a battle sword on his back walked out. There was nothing to say. The battle immediately broke out. Unfortunately, Wu Kuei was too strong. The young man with the battle sword on his back had an ancient battle sword in his bloodline. He was stronger than the young man with the battle axe, but he was still no match for Wu Kuei. After more than 30 moves, the young man with the battle sword was hit by Wu Kuei's mountain and coughed up blood. If not for his strength, he would have been crushed into a pulp. Another person from the Mystic Essence Sword sect had lost. Ha ha ha, who else? Come up and fight me. Wu Kuei laughed arrogantly. The remaining 2 people from the Mystic Essence Sword sect had ugly expressions. Their strength was not comparable to the young man with the battle sword on his back. If they went up, they would only be humiliating themselves. They might even lose their lives. However, they were already the strongest martial grandmasters in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Who else wants to come up? Don't you even dare to fight? What a bunch of trash. Wu Kuei laughed. In the crowd, Lu Ming looked on coldly. He had no intention of fighting. What did the Mystic Essence Sword sect's defeat have to do with him? He was not interested in fighting. In the clouds above the sky, Lin Shui, the Mystic Essence Sword sect leader, and a few golden-robed elders stood among the clouds. They looked down with gloomy faces. I didn't expect the Decimo Sword sect to have secretly cultivated so many peerless geniuses over the years. Wu Kuei has already comprehended some secret techniques from his bloodline. Ordinary special bloodlines are no match for him. One of the golden-robed elders sighed. It's a pity that Duan Mulin has broken through to the martial ancestor realm. If he was still a martial grandmaster, he would have defeated him. Another golden-robed elder said. Then they all fell silent. Now that they had lost, they had to think about how to reduce their influence as much as possible. Junior brother Wu Kuei, looks like they don't dare to come up. Sigh, how disappointing.